So my name is Christine Romo and I'm a producer at ABC News. I've been in the news business for about 12 years now. I started as a translator for Peter Jennings. I was very, very lucky to work with him for several years until he passed. I translated for about 1 year, and then it was 9/11 happened. My role became more in the production side, and I started as an associate producer and then worked my way up. The best experience I've ever had working with Peter. I really, really learned a lot. He's a true newsman. He just embodied news and curiosity and wanting to know more, wanting to know everything, and always telling, as he would say, both sides of the story. Just last year I was in Somalia and witnessed real strength, how really strong and how just unbelievable women are. I saw women coming in who had been walking for about 10 days with their children and all of their belongings on their back, coming through the desert. They walked during the night, tried to rest during the day. They were attacked by animals, bandits, but they knew that they had to get their children to safety, and safety was in Kenya. So they would cross the border from Somalia into Kenya, and in order to reach the refugee camps, these women sacrificed a lot. They traveled just through extreme heat. The temperature was something like 118 degrees when we were there, and very high humidity. And they sacrificed everything, to save their children and to get where they needed to be to get them safe. These tall, very stately women. I don't know how to describe it other than saying that I was just taken aback. I just couldn't believe how just beautiful they were in the most just dire of situations, but they had such pride and such dignity, and it was really overwhelming. If I were given the opportunity, I would live in Africa for a few years. It's an extraordinary continent. Every single country I visited in Africa, I fall in love with. It's hard not to. I mean, it's just really, you live in the now there. You're in the moment, and you just feel everything so differently. It's so much more vibrant. The people are wonderful. The music, the food, everything. It's so welcoming, and I think much more connected and much more grounded. And it's a wonderful place. There are a lot of times when in news you're faced with very difficult situations, and a lot of movement can be going on, whether there's violence behind you or it's an earthquake or any sort of disaster. In Egypt, just last year during the Arab Spring, there were very, very large crowds, and the reporter that I work with a lot and I were in Tahrir Square when the men came in on camelback with whips and chains. So we sensed, before we even saw them, we sensed there was a shift in the crowd. It just changed from very peaceful to all of a sudden everybody was really tense. People started breaking stones, a lot of screaming. We just kind of held together in a tight little group, and we have to keep reporting. So you don't really stop and say, oh, something's off, we should go. It's more of things are changing, so we're adapting, and we're just trying to be less noticeable and stay tighter, but still capture what's going on. So within a couple of minutes of feeling the shift, we saw the men come in, and a crowd of people right behind us basically ripped somebody off a horse and started beating them. And we're filming, and you have to stay focused, and you have to not get in the way. Obviously you don't want to get hurt, but you have to keep reporting and staying focused on what's going on. After that, we started getting reports of journalists being attacked. At that point, safety is very, very important to us, so we decided we have to go. And we were getting messages saying they're targeting anyone with a camera, so hide your camera. And of course our cameras are small. We travel with small cameras, but they're not like tiny little handhelds that you can put in a bag. So we, for a few moments, had to sort of figure out, what do we do, where do we go, what's the safest route? And we saw a mosque. So immediately we just knew, we just beelined it for the mosque, and we made it out just fine. I was in Sudan a few years back, and I was traveling with a group of men. It usually turns out that I'm the only female in a group of men in the sort of work that I do. And we were filming in this young woman's house, and she was at university. She was studying at the University of Khartoum, and so she was very outgoing and very talkative, and she approached me and she said, which one of these men is your husband? And I just looked at her and I was like, no, my husband's not here. And she says, oh, well, which one is your brother? I said, nope, I'm an only child. And then I just saw it, and there was this moment, and I just saw the wheels just start turning, and she started smiling. And I just knew it, that she was like, oh my gosh, you can travel alone. You can do so many things. You don't need permission. You can just be out here, and it's totally fine. And I thought that was really amazing. I really, really enjoyed that. We don't get a lot of notice for breaking news. I was covering the royal wedding, and I was in London. I had just been back for about 24 hours, and President Obama announced that there was big news. So all the journalists gathered at the White House, and he announced that Osama bin Laden had been killed. Within, I don't know, 20 minutes or so, I started getting emails saying, we need your passport information. We're getting you a visa to Pakistan, and start packing. So early that next morning, I was on the first flight out, New York to Pakistan. So you don't get a lot of notice, but it's exciting, and it's just sort of what we do, and I don't even think about it. I have my kit's packed, it's ready to go, it's in the closet. I have my camera, my lights, my tripod, my BGAN, which is a little satellite that we can transmit from anywhere, and that's it. And then clothes, which is sort of have the same, cargo pants and t-shirts that I wear everywhere I go, and always have a scarf. I think this sort of business is always a little bit more challenging for women, but it is getting much, much better. It's great. I think it's a great field for women. I mean, you travel, you get to live history. You get to literally witness history in the making, and that is something that it's just, I don't even know how to explain it. I mean, that's why I do what I do, because I literally get to witness history, and it's unbelievable, and I'm very lucky.